It's now 10 years old. Maybe you heard about it. You know, yeah, everyone is using it, but of course, you know, there's a lot of controversies around it, because maybe the professor is not allowing that you look at it or that you quote it. There's a lot of controversy about, you know, is it true what the Wikipedia says? So for the first time, about 2 years ago, we decided together with an NGO in Bangalore to start this research, global research into Wikipedia. By the way, this is research which I'm very proud of. This is paid in the first phase by India. So it's for the first time we got money from India to do this research, which I think is a very 21st century situation. Now, after 3 events, one in Bangalore, in Amsterdam and in Leipzig, where we focused on the German Wikipedia, finally last week, this reader now came out. And it's also, let's say, the first research result in which the owner of Wikipedia, the Wikimedia Foundation, which is based in San Francisco, was not involved. So we did not want them to be involved in this. It's the first independent research. Because all the research before, in the first 10 years, were all coordinated by them. Yeah? So, and of course, and this is the most obvious one. It's the most well-known. It's called the power law. You will find it in every study on the internet. It's a very simple idea, namely that approximately from the whole population that, let's say, joins something, YouTube or Wikipedia and so on, maybe 10% will actively contribute, and from that 10%, you know, there's 1% that is very, very powerful and contributes a lot. And then you get this kind of a graph, which is called the power law, and you can see that you know, a few people contribute a lot, and a lot of people contribute almost nothing. Yeah? And this is kind of a situation across the board. Called participatory culture is in fact a culture in which a very few people contribute a lot. And this is somehow has to be the starting point for what, well, this is something you really cannot see, but I'll tell you what. It is the cover of, you know, I will now go through some of the net critics that maybe I am part of, or I don't know. There is a new movement, especially in the United States, unfortunately not in Europe, of people who are asking more critical questions about the current internet culture. This has been only a recent phenomena, I'd say, only since 2008 or 2009. There is more literature coming from journalists, scholars, critics that ask, you know, some questions about this mass phenomena. This book is probably the most well-known book at the moment. It's called What the Internet is Doing to Our Brains, The Shallows. It is called by Nicholas Carr, and it's translated in Italian.
Yeah.
Most of the internet literature that we find in the bookstores and online in Amazon, it's basically literature that is written by, let's say, marketing evangelists. So they align themselves to a certain company and then start to promote, you know, this platform. And they are writing about the methodologies of the heroes, how they became so rich and famous, and so on. So there is that is still the dominant literature that we can find about the internet. So this is why it is important, and a very good sign that for the first time now there is some more critical material available. What I want to say just a little bit about Nicholas Carr. What he is looking at in this book is primarily the situation of information overload and how people deal with multitasking, and the question if we are still reading or not, and or if we are just browsing, searching. And if we are losing our concentration online. Title of a book that just recently came out, which I like, is by this American scholar with an Indian name, Siva Vahanathan, and the book is called The Googleization of Everything. And this is kind of the first kind of critical scholarly book available in the US. That asks some questions about Google. Nicholas Carr has written a very famous essay in 2008. Is Google making us stupid? And Siva Vahanathan, he looks more into the different Google applications and platforms. So he looks at, let's say, the controversy of privacy with Google Street View. He looks at the controversy, which is ongoing, by the way, still further developing, about Google Books and the conflict with, the copyright of the publishers. He also looks in a different chapter about Google's let's say, ambivalent policy towards China. A very interesting chapter in the Google story. How Google is going back and forth, how it deals and how it wants to be a hero in the fight against censorship, but is constantly working together with the authorities in Beijing. Now, quite famous, a real kind of critique. One is his critique of the so-called wisdom of the crowds. He started, before he wrote this book, with a famous essay called Digital Maoism. In this essay, he criticized Wikipedia for always coming up with the more stupid kind of answer, not going for the excellency, and in his argument, he is stressing that the internet should enable, let's say, individualism, and what it has done is celebrating the dumb masses in the Web 2.0 culture. And he is criticizing for this loss of, let's say, the unique subject that he still found in the 1990s culture, in the very strange websites that he encountered. So he sees the Web 2.0 especially as a phenomena, a mass marketing phenomena that is dumbing down the people, because they have to conform to all the software requirements of Twitter, where you can only write 140 characters, or Facebook, where you basically can only joke amongst your friends. I think it's interesting is that he is emphasizing that the music, as we have seen it develop, the pop music, as we've seen it developing in the 1960s and 70s, he has seen, coming to a halt in the 1990s. And he started to ask himself why there are no music styles. And the latest music styles that we know are hip-hop, rap, maybe some techno, or some variations of house, techno, and so on. And he says these are all music styles basically developed in the early or mid-80s. Since then, there are no new music styles, and he says this is because of the emphasis of the digital technologies on remixing. And he says what the musicians should do is they should try to develop again a new culture, a subculture, and maybe an underground culture which is focused more on authenticity and individual expression, and not focused completely on the networked environment in which people can of course immediately expose themselves to the world, but in which there is no time to develop a new style, especially because of the immediate exposure to the networks and because of the emphasis on remixing existing material. In fact, should be part of this series of slides, but I have not read her book yet, which I'm going to do over the next month, which is Sherry Turkle. Sherry Turkle is an MIT professor who has written a book, kind of a critique of the social media from more like a feminist and cognitive psychology perspective. So I apologize that I have not summarized her work here.